Okay.
So, hey, we're
Hey,
live.
hey, everybody.
It said it. It said the words. You are live.
We are live again. It's great to be alive.
It is great to be
Yeah,
alive.
yeah. You know, kind of depending on who you are and what you're doing and
You
what
don't want to be
situations you
dead and
find.
being served up as a steak right now?
Right,
Come
right.
on.
We're lucky. We're lucky
Yep.
that we're not.
Honestly, Ron, you are lucky because I don't think you would be a target for this guy who we're going to be talking about today. For one, you're not a tall, beautiful woman.
No,
But
no.
if you listen to some of his interviews, that didn't really matter because one of the first people he saw that he went, I'd like a bite of that, was a guy.
Yes. Well,
It
he's
was
a
when
very young
yeah,
age.
it was a young age.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I
but you don't have. I mean, you're kind of scrawny, so there's not much meat on those bones.
no. I think he would have been picking his teeth with my legs,
Right.
using me as a toothpick. After you got done eating, you would go, that was a good snack. I got some of you stuck in my tooth. I got to use your leg to get that piece of meat out. So,
Anyway, who are we?
So if you don't know who we are, well, I am Ron Klett, and sitting next to me is a man that, I don't know, have you ever thought about cannibalizing anybody?
I mean, I may have said I want to eat that ass, but not in the way we're talking about.
Yes, that's right. The man who wants to eat that ass is none other than
Derek the Barbaric Dren.
Derek. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
All right. Okay. Well, yeah, we have a very interesting subject today. Well, a man entered the Bois de Boulogne just before midnight on Saturday, June 13th, 1981. He was not there for a late evening stroll. He was there to get rid of something. Close by, a middle-aged couple taken in the warm summer night were walking hand in hand beside the Lac Inferieur, the largest of the Bois' many lakes. As they strolled, they noticed a city taxi pull into a side road up ahead. Out hopped a young Asian-looking gentleman. The couple would later describe the man as being very small and delicately built. Yeah, he definitely was that. They observed him struggling to pull two large suitcases from the trunk of the taxi. Having paid the driver, he proceeded to the place and then apparently with two heavy suitcases and put them on a small trolley, which he then began to drag into the park. Who are we talking about?
Issei Sagawa.
Oh, yeah, the famous Kobe cannibal.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, what a strange case, right?
This is dark. Like
It
this
is
guy
dark.
was messed up, and not like I mean his crime obviously was messed up, really dark. It was bad, but like his whole life, even pre-crime, was just filled with a bunch of just weirdness, and afterwards just got even weirder.
I think even afterwards, that's what makes this case really strange. It's not the mere fact, the case itself, but what happened after the fact that even makes it really crazy that it actually happened.
I was gonna say, like, there's the disgusting level of what he did,
Yes.
and then there's the disgusting level of like how screwed up the results are of everything else that we'll get into later. And it's
Right.
just like I honestly don't know what's more disgusting.
Yeah, I
Like-
completely agree with you.
Like it seems like a no-brainer of like obviously a murder and cannibalism and blah 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 and everything he
Right.
did is
Yeah.
completely disgantly. But then it's like,
Yeah, everyone's doing it nowadays.
yeah, there's some other shit that goes on that are it's without getting too much into the weeds in the story because we'll cover it later. But like
Yeah.
justice is not served in that way, and it was not served in a very gross way.
Right.
Like it's just the negligence and everything else is just awful.
Oh, it was terrible. Yeah. But, before we start talking about Issei Sagawa, we have our own cannibal here in Michigan. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Yes. Yeah. If I can bring it up here. Hold on one second here. Hang on. Let's see if I can bring it up here.
How long ago was this?
I'm trying to look here. This was 2 days ago that I found the article on Newsbreak.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And his name was, hold on one second here. I'm trying to bring this
Way
all
to be
up.
prepared, Ron.
I wasn't prepared. Yeah, a Michigan man was found guilty of cannibalism and first degree murder, but cannibalism is not illegal.
I was just gonna say cannibalism itself is
So
not a
you
crime.
can eat anybody you want to, long as they're willing and they're still alive. Because it's the act of murder itself that
Yes.
makes it illegal. If you
And the
kill them, that's it. It's over. You're going to jail.
yeah, and the desiccation of a corpse
Oh,
is also illegal depending on where you
so if
are.
you're having sex with the corpse after the fact.
Well, desiccation, not just having sex with. So
Oh,
not
okay.
the
See where my mind is at. Is I'm going straight to just having sex with a corpse.
You're just like, I want to fuck it. Let's just go.
Right, right. Well, this was in Corona, Michigan. A jury found Mark Latunsky guilty of first degree murder after he admitted to killing and dismembering a man. So yeah, very, very interesting. I just wanted to just kind of
Right.
just
Yeah.
throw that out there that
Yeah.
hey, Japan or France, depending
Right.
on, don't just have all the cannibals.
Yeah. It's not just that. It's
No,
not just
we
that.
have our own cannibal
Yeah.
here in Michigan.
I
I don't
didn't.
know.
I
That's
didn't.
something to be
Right.
so happy about.
Hey!
Hey, but we
Look
do.
at us, everyone. We've got a cannibal
We
here.
got our own cannibal. Yeah.
Check one for Michigan.
Right. That's right.
Oh,
So who knows? But
right.
maybe Governor Whitmer will maybe pass some sort of laws protecting all cannibals in Michigan.
Right.
Since she's running here, and
Oh,
we got election coming
gosh.
up,
Yeah.
so protection for all cannibals.
All I know is I drive on our roads every day, and she has not fixed them yet. Dang it.
That's right. Oh, I would say something. I am just going to keep
Right,
my mouth
yep,
shut
just
because yeah, I'm just going to
we're
keep my
not
mouth.
gonna get
We're not going to get
political.
political. We're not going down that road. So anyway, let's get back to
All
Issei
right.
Sagawa. So like we were saying, is that the act of cannibalism is not a crime.
Correct.
The desecration, right,
Yes,
of
the
the body,
desecration of the corpse
of the
is,
corpse.
which just seems weird.
So the killing, definitely illegal. Also, whatever happens after the fact, illegal. So
Yes.
So if you kill somebody, you're going to jail.
Yeah.
But if you kill somebody and then whack off a butt cheek and eat it, then that's that's going way
Right,
above
yeah,
beyond murder.
But you can eat said butt cheek and not get in trouble anymore.
Oh, okay. So it
So-
isn't like it gets deeper and deeper and
Well,
deeper.
see, you kill the person, you get murder. You cut the butt cheek off, it's desecration of a corpse.
Right.
If you eat said butt cheek, you still only got 2 crimes against you, not 3.
Oh, see, I thought it would be murder and then
Desecration. But then
eating the butt cheek. But no,
that's
not
cannibalism.
eating.
Cannibalism's not illegal.
So then you
At least here in the US.
really?
Yeah. And
Okay.
I also believe a lot of Western countries.
So
Western
what
countries.
if you, before killing the person, you cut off said butt cheek, then killed the person, then ate the said butt cheek? Any difference?
Then I would think you'd only get in trouble for
Because there's no desecration of the dead body, right? You would be
they
alive
consider it
first.
assault? So if you were
Ah.
legally, if they gave you permission to eat it,
I can't believe we're talking about this.
how
We're
do
actually
you
trying to
get
figure
away
this
with
out.
cannibalism?
Got to get away with it, less of offense. How do you do that?
So as long as you have their permission to do this,
Mhm.
and they happen to
Well.
die,
Right.
maybe you can just get in trouble with like negligence.
That's what I'm thinking. See, you'll get a lesser of offense.
Yeah.
Right?
I would think.
God. So if you're a cannibal, you really have to think this out.
Yeah. And you probably want to be some sort of a like surgeon or something of that sense.
Like Jack the Ripper. They
So-
thought Jack the Ripper was also a surgeon, but they also suspected he was a cannibal as well. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
I had
Yeah.
read that. Now I don't know
Yeah.
if that's fully accurate. I just kind
It's
of
one of the thoughts that's thrown out.
one
there,
of the
like I said.
theories that he was a cannibal.
But there's a shit ton behind him. So
Sure.
well, whether it's him or them,
I
or-
don't think Jack the Ripper was real. It's kind of like Shakespeare. It's kind of conglomerate of everybody, which
Right.
they thought that Jack the
I
Ripper
gonna
was as
say,
well.
Yeah, like there was one guy who killed a couple people, and then more people went, "Hey, we can do this too and get in on it." And
Sure,
then
sure.
somebody else started writing letters, and
And then they
then
started throwing in all these
yeah,
secret societies as well around surrounding
yeah.
Jack the Ripper. But anyway,
Anyhow,
side note there on Jack the Ripper. Let's get back to Issei Sagawa.
Ron, do you have ADD? Because I
I
know
think
I
so.
do.
No, I'm just like all over the place with this cannibal thing because it's just like when I was reading about Issei, I I felt thoroughly disgusted, like my skin, I would just felt
Right?
slimy. I had the smell of like kimchi and sweaty feet and a hot apartment. That's what I had smelled, like kimchi that has been open on somebody's
Oh
countertop for like a
gosh.
week in a hot apartment, and they don't shower and they leave their dirty clothes all over the place. That's what it felt like when I was reading all of the information about Issei Sagawa, and when I was looking at a lot of the crime scene photos,
Oh
it
yeah.
just looked like swamp ass,
Yeah.
like a swamp ass apartment.
Yep.
Like it just stunk like hell.
Yeah, I can't imagine it
I can't
was.
imagine that he would invite people over,
So I mean, I
or he
guess
wanted to invite people over, and I don't think he had too many. Well, he did have a few guests.
yeah, yeah, but
Well,
he paid for
a
a lot
couple
of
of
those to come over.
he did, he did, yeah.
I mean, you pay me, I'll do quite a bit, for the right price.
Would you take a shower in his apartment?
Ooh. I mean, I'm not a tall, hot American blonde, so I should be
Sure.
okay.
Especially a tall, hot American blonde that starred in movies, which he
Yeah.
was very attracted
Yes.
to. Yeah, yeah.
But hey, before we get too far,
Yes, what do we have?
we have considering he is from Japan and now
Mhm.
lives in Japan, we
Yep.
couldn't think of something good that was cannibal related, so we went with sake.
Yay.
I have never had sake.
Uh,
Ron supposedly has had some great times on sake.
Obviously, I've had, according to my wife, I've thrown back some shots of sake, which you educated me tonight
Yeah,
on sake lore.
because I had
I
never had
didn't
it
know.
before. I was curious on how you like prepare it and how it's served and how you're supposed to drink all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I found out not all sake is heated. The only reason they heat sake is because it's cheap and it covers the bad taste.
Okay.
And you're also not supposed to drink it like a shot. It's disrespectful.
Really?
It is traditionally it is a oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a not ritual, but like it's supposed to be done with like
Kind of
some
like a tea ceremony.
yeah,
Similarly
yeah, you don't
like that,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, like even you think of the how when they would pour the little things of tea and you sip that, like you're supposed to drink it the same way. Like
Okay. So you're supposed to turn the cup, rotate the cup like 2
yeah,
times, and then
get your little
the
pinky out.
pinky goes up in the air. Now you're a
Yeah,
teetotaler. I think that's more England, less
well,
less
yeah,
Japan,
right.
more England. Yeah, you teetotaler.
Yeah, I just make it to something somebody can relate to. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, so you brought 2 sakes
Yes,
over.
I did. Now I was hoping to find one that was like made in Japan and like sake,
Right.
but
Sake to me.
I couldn't. Everything was U.S. made, so we got
Mhm.
what we got.
Okay, well, hopefully it was made by maybe some so sake originally is from Japan, right?
As far as I know, yeah. I didn't
Okay.
do too much research in the
Yeah.
history of sake,
Okay.
so but I do believe it is just a traditionally Japanese drink.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe some American Japanese have
Yeah,
made the
yeah.
sake that we're drinking today.
Maybe
Maybe.
somebody came over and
Right.
was like, "Hey, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna
Right.
start up a sake thing."
Right. Right.
I
Right.
mean, the
No.
taller one is made in Oregon.
Oh, okay.
So
So
I
some
mean,
hippies have made it. Barefoot hippies with dreadlocks made one of these sakes in
possibly.
Oregon.
Either that or maybe they came over and
Yeah.
they just
I'm still gonna say
stopped and-
Oregon. I know you hate it when I say that.
Gosh.
Oregon.
Oregon.
Right. Right.
Like,
hang on one
yeah.
second.
Oh, we lost the stream.
Yep,
Or not
we're
the
gonna.
stream. We kept the
Yeah.
stream. We lost the recording
Yes, we
software.
lost the recording, so we're gonna stop.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, there we go. And just hit record again.
Yep,
We can
and there
piece
we
it
go.
together.
Okay.
And record. Hey, it's recording again.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, so do we want to try the dirty hippie feet sake first, or do we want to try the other one where I don't know where it's from?
Let's.
The dirty
I'm
hippie
so,
feet is the tall one, and it's
you know,
Asian bear.
I know, but I'm also looking at this one
And
because
it's pretty.
because it says, I don't know, it has G, which says joy, Junmai Ginjo Gensu Saki.
Not a clue.
Slaughtered that.
Most
And
likely.
it says G Joy Saki.
G Joy.
G Joy. And
G stands for what?
G is for Genshu or Genshu, Genshu or Genshu. We could, you could Google
Ginsu, a knife.
So it's Genshu. That's
Yeah.
how you pronounce it. Genshu. I'm looking
Yeah.
at the phonetic
I was gonna say, I
breakdown
think it has
here.
a phonetic
They
thing
do
on
have
there.
the phonetic breakdown. Thank God for that for us, which means sake that is undiluted, full strength. So this one I would like to go with.
You want to go with that?
Yeah,
one,
I
huh?
want to go with that one. What are you thinking?
All right.
Yeah?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. So we're doing the G sake, the Genshu sake. Yep.
Surf chill.
Oh, I thought I had a
Also
child.
great for cocktails.
I thought it had like a seal over the top of it where you can't break the seal.
Right? Like,
You know what I
oh,
mean?
shit.
Like medicine, like a medicine bottle.
Derek can't get into it. Look at. There you go.
Oh, yeah. I should have got out my fine Japanese cups for this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where are the little cups for it?
Yeah, we
Even
should have
though
got
I am
those
spilling
fine
all over the
porcelain
place.
Japanese cups to drink our sake, but unfortunately, we're drinking out
Sake!
shot glasses.
Right?
But we're not supposed to throw them back as shots.
Yeah, that's what they say.
All right. Toast to you, my friend. Toast to everybody out there. And hopefully that our show continues to keep recording.
Right.
We've been having problems with our software lately, so bear with us. So if halfway through the show we kind of stop and say we got to, kickstart the recording back up again, but hopefully it doesn't interfere. So here we go.
Yeah.
Let's do it. It's a little sip, right? You got to have that pinky up in the air, though. What are you doing? Oh my God. That is so smooth. That is so good. What?
I've never been a big wine person.
Not liking
and that's
it?
what it really reminds me of, is a really dry wine.
It really is. It is a really dry wine. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, what are you thinking?
Let me give these guys some mouth noises. Have you ever watched any of those videos? Sorry,
What's that?
Random tangent here.
What's that?
The ones with people eating, generally of Asian descent, and they're eating food, and all it is like mouth noise.
No.
Oh my gosh. There was somebody who watched some of that around me the other day. And if you're listening, I won't say your name, but you know who you are. And it's just, and sorry for the mockery of the voice. I don't mean it to be, as of really making fun of the person in the video, but to get what all I'm hearing, I'm not watching the video or anything. All I'm hearing is, oh
God, we're gonna hear it from that's what we probably sound like that to them. We probably sound like that to them too.
Oh, I know.
We're just like annoying
gibberish.
Americans if we go over
Freaking
there. But that is one thing.
Rambling gibberish. I just can't.
But that is one thing that if you go over to Japan or wherever other places serve ramen, you're supposed to slurp it and make all these noises.
Yeah.
It's almost like a show of respect for the person.
Well, it was
who cooked
like what was it? Roman times or whatever, like belching and things like that were considered a sign of like, hey, the food was good. I think it's kind of the same idea for them. And they're called mukbang, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, internet. They're called mukbang videos.
Oh, the video that you're just talking about.
Yeah, of the people like slurping and
mukbang. It sounds like something that should be on Pornhub.
Right?
Yeah, like
But it's like, I guess
yeah,
it's like a food ASMR type thing.
right.
Yeah.
Mukbanging.
Yeah.
Got some mukbanging porn going on. Okay, all right. You just gave us some demonstration of
Right.
your mukbanging.
There we go.
All you
Hey,
ladies out there, you want to
that
get mukbanged by Derek? Here
that
you go.
that's our OnlyFans. It's just gonna be me eating
Muk,
food and slurping.
no, mukbanging.
Yeah, mukbanging.
All right, before the show goes off the rails anymore, why don't we get into our
Off the rails it already has,
well,
Ron.
yeah, why don't we get into our little story of Issei Sagawa?
All right.
What do you think?
I like it. Let's do
Okay.
it.
All right. Well, okay. Issei Sagawa was born prematurely on Monday, April 26th, 1949. Sagawa's father, Akira Sagawa, was a businessman who had served as president of the Kurita Water Industries, and his grandfather had been an editor for the, and I'm going to probably butcher this, I'm not up on my Japanese at all, the I see, Asahi Shimbun. Either that's a newspaper or a magazine. I believe it was a newspaper over in Japan.
Yeah.
So they were quite wealthy family.
Yes, yeah, they were well off. He didn't grow up in poverty or anything. Like,
No,
he didn't have that sad backstory of, oh, I grew up with nothing. He grew up with everything
he
handed
did.
to him.
He did. He did. Well, shortly after his birth, Issei suffered his first serious ailment, a disease which attacks the intestines called enteritis. In order to save his life, saline injections of potassium and calcium were administered, which finally, actually, it healed
Yeah,
Issei, and you know, and that's kind of his birth. I mean, he was a very small baby,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
They say he was small enough to fit in his dad's hand,
Yeah.
like in the palm of his dad's
And I'm
hand.
assuming Japanese people are not that big.
Well,
I don't think they
right.
have huge hands, say like, I don't know, Michael Jordan,
Well,
or
I was gonna
not,
say,
I
I'm
don't know how big Michael Jordan's
I'm just
hands
saying,
are, but
assuming
he's a
pretty large.
basketball player, you know.
Right. He's not a small guy
No,
by
he's
any
not a small
means.
guy. So,
Well, and I've seen, like, I'm pretty sure it was a picture of Issei next to his mother, and she
oh,
was a pretty
okay.
short lady,
Okay.
considering they were pretty equal height. I'm assuming the dad's probably not too much crazy taller,
No,
but
no,
I mean, I don't know much about
no.
him, but
Yeah, I don't think they were a family of sumo wrestlers either.
right.
Definitely not. So as a toddler, it would begin for him the imprinting of cannibalism. So he had an uncle that would kind of chase them around. Well, it would chase them around New Year's Eve festivities and dressed as a giant
Yep.
and trying to, chase around all the children that were there for the festivities. And basically his uncle would really focus on Issei and his older brother,
Younger
or
brother.
younger brother.
Younger
I'm sorry,
brother.
his younger brother. Yes. And Issei's father would be dressed as a knight, but he would always be slayed by the
Yep.
giant. And then his younger brother and Issei would be taken to this pot and put into a pot where, the whole
They would mock
pretend
eat.
that, they
Yeah.
would
Yep.
be getting ate and everything like that. And so Issei Sagawa later recalled the mixture of terror and elation he felt as he and his brother were lowered, struggling wildly into the stew pot. The game was profoundly enjoyed by both and had a deep and lasting effect on Issei. As he became old enough to read, his early entry into make-believe world where humans ate other humans resounded in his mind. And he found himself reaching for as many fairy tale books as he could. Brothers Grimm, anything that would have like dragons eating people, people
Yep.
eating people, monsters eating people, giants eating people, whatever. He really found a
Yeah.
fascination for that. And so,
His favorite one being Hansel and Gretel.
oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
The idea of fattening the kids up, and this, like, we're talking the scary version of Hansel and Gretel.
Mm-hmm.
Not, oh, the kids get away and stuff like that. No, it's we're gonna fatten you up, we're gonna cook you in the pot, Hansel and Gretel. Like,
So we're talking about the true Brothers Grimm,
yeah,
Hansel and Gretel
yeah,
here,
not
not the Disney
yeah,
version.
exactly. It is a little hard to pour.
Right, right. And it'll just get harder and harder to pour as
As the night
more we
goes on,
drink.
right? Oh, but that was one thing I had found was his favorite fairy tale was Hansel and Gretel, just because of how I don't want to say necessarily in depth, but like how direct and to the point it was about his fantasy
Mhm.
of being eaten or eating.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of interesting. I mean, if that's where it kind of started at
Yeah.
with his uncle chasing him around.
Which,
I mean we
oh
all played
yeah,
that way
I
as
know.
kids, and, how it would have maybe affect one child, but not really his brother.
I did see a thing that said that it did affect his brother, but not near to the extent.
Mhm.
Like it
Well,
did mess with his brother, and his brother had some of the thoughts and urges,
but
but never bad enough
why
to like bring them
but
forth.
why I don't understand that because we've all played that
Yeah.
way. I remember growing up, my father would do the same thing,
Yeah, or
pretend he's
they
a monster. I did it with my kids as
yep,
well.
and then they tackle you and, like, pretend to eat your belly or
Yeah.
something like
I
that,
mean,
go
it never made me wanna
yeah,
go out and just kinda devour somebody, or,
right?
or have this lust for cannibalism,
Yeah,
or I don't know why something like that would trigger in somebody
yeah,
like that,
it's
but maybe we would
because there's a
understand it a little bit
mental
more.
problem behind it.
Well, I think there was a lot more dealing, as we'll find out, a lot more going on in the family there
Oh,
too,
yeah.
particularly surrounding his birth, but we'll get that to that here, like, real soon here. There was definitely something different about, Issei, as a schoolboy. Typically, he was a loner, unable or unwilling to express his true feelings. Sharing his secret dreams of cannibalism was not something he was likely to consider due to fear of ridicule. He doesn't like you walk around the
Huh.
playground. Hey, by the way, guess what, kid?
Nom, nom, nom.
Do you ever feel like you want to just eat Timmy over there?
No, but I see Sally and I wanna take a bite out of that.
Well, isn't that the case when he was in
Well,
school, right?
yeah.
I mean, like you
Yeah,
were saying,
he's his first case was I think it said he was
was he
I think
6?
5 or
5?
6, I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
yeah. And he saw a boy in his class, and he saw his thigh,
Mhm.
and he just thought, "Man, I wonder what it tastes like, or I wonder what it would be like to eat that."
Right,
And just at 5 years old, like,
right.
holy shit, like, something's wrong.
Yeah,
Something's really wrong.
yeah, yeah. I mean, especially at 5 or 6.
Yeah,
And I know in a few interviews, in the interviews that I read with Issei, this is what he had said, that
yeah,
he basically traces it back to his very early childhood. He can
yep.
remember having those feelings and those thoughts and those sensations.
Which is crazy because I can barely remember shit from
I
this that young.
Yeah, but I guess you're not a cannibal. I guess
Right.
maybe something a memory like that would stick out.
Yeah.
I
I was
mean,
gonna say,
you think
like,
of the first day.
we all have our random memories, but, like,
Well,
yeah,
I mean, I'm
yeah,
sure you can remember the first time you've had sex, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So it's kinda like that, but the cannibalistic version of
Yeah, yeah, right.
it.
Then again,
You know?
but the last time or the last time I had sex was in college. No, the first time I had sex,
Okay.
I was already out of high school, so it was like,
Oh,
oh, okay,
congratulations.
like,
Okay.
yeah, it wasn't. I mean, it was still not quite 20 years ago, but pushing it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
old. I'm getting old, Ryan. I'm getting really old.
Oh,
Oh,
so anyway, though he was often to be found alone and virtually friendless, Sagawa enjoyed school. The
mhm.
process of learning was something that he embraced, a compensatory mechanism for being unable to perform socially. And kind of like many emerging killers and sociopaths, they had a profinity towards school as well, and very highly
Yeah,
intelligent. You know, Issei was thoroughly pampered by his mother, Tomi Sagawa. And this is, I think, really, I think really kind of hurt him
yeah,
mentally and
yeah,
emotionally. I mean, he was kind of emotionally and mentally, stunted because his mom was a doting mom.
yeah,
She was very overbearing,
yeah.
you know?
Extremely, extremely overbearing.
Right, right. And basically would not let him, you know, eh, have his own autonomy,
Yeah,
really.
yeah,
And I think probably from her standpoint, it was probably because, well, who knows? I mean, It could have been because when he was an infant and the problems that they
Yeah.
had at birth, that maybe she was very overprotective of him.
I was gonna say from everything I had read and heard, it sounded like, he was her little boy. Even once he grew up, he was her little boy. And,
Right.
because he was such a frail person, even as an adult, mom's got to be there to protect you, you
Right.
know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and it was pretty much, even though he couldn't find his autonomy, it was his studies in class and in
Yeah.
school that would kind of keep him on an even keel.
Yeah.
Besides the thought of actually cannibalizing
Yeah.
somebody at 6 years
Right.
old. But besides
Yeah.
that, he was pretty much
Yeah.
a grounded,
Yeah.
child, I guess, to some extent,
Yeah.
you
Which
know.
is
But it was in 1961, 12-year-old Sagawa began his secondary education. In accordance with his intellect, he kind of went away from the fairy tales that he liked as a younger child, like the Brothers Grimm fairy tales and everything, and instead began to take notice of more of great literary works, stories unfolding in the faraway Western world, such as War and Peace, particularly drew him in, but not in terms of love for the story itself. Sagawa was developing a preoccupation with revisiting particular characters time and time again, digesting descriptions of the grace and refined femininity of the heroines in those
yeah.
stories. That's what really drew him in, were the women in the
Yeah.
stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it
It
was
was
it was going back and being able to just recount that all the time, going back and being able to
yeah.
relive those, vicariously through
Yeah.
those stories and relive those accounts of those women. And so, and it kind of plays into I believe kind of plays into as you go forward in his life, the cannibalistic aspect of him, kind of that trophy piece,
Oh, okay.
kind of
Yeah.
taking that essence in of you know
Yeah.
of cannibalizing.
Yeah.
So Sagawa later spoke of how he regarded these women with their pale flesh and romantic dispositions as angels. Around this time, he was also becoming immersed in viewing the works of Renoir. Renoir's paintings typified the creamy flesh tones Sagawa longed for in a woman, and he would gaze upon these images often, wondering how all that luxuriant peach hued skin would feel under his touch, but most importantly, how it would taste.
Taste.
Yum, yum. Right, right.
Like peaches. Peaches and
Peaches and
cream.
cream. And what kind of cream goes with that as you're cannibalizing somebody? Well, we'll find out.
I've heard Chianti goes pretty good.
Uh, right. That was
Eh,
Silence of the Lambs? Was that part two when he was
with
eating
fava beans.
fava beans, or was that part one? Because
I
remember,
think that
part
was
two
part
was
one.
okay. Because part two, he was eating Ray Liotta's brain. Right, he
Yeah.
was actually frying his
Yeah.
brain up in
Yeah.
front of him,
In front
putting him in the
right.
pan and frying it up.
Spoiler alert for a
Now,
40-year-old movie.
and that is one thing, if you're a cannibal, do not eat the brain,
Yeah, it's
because
really bad for you.
right, what is that disease called? It's
Oh
kind of like mad cow's
gosh.
disease for humans.
Yeah, but and it can happen like the first time you eat it too, from what I've read.
Right.
Like it's not an overindulgence or like you eat it multiple times and it happens. It could happen like first time you try it. Oh, hey, now you're sick.
But
And it's bad.
but doesn't the person have to be infected with that type of disease first and foremost, or is it just something that you can contract
I'm not
if you
sure.
do eat a human
I have not
brain?
done that much research in
Well, I
cannibalism
mean,
yet.
we might just have to
We might.
might have to look
We
into
might have
this.
to revisit cannibalism.
Oh, as he moved through puberty and with his initial attributable sexual learnings along the way, Sagawa's first ejaculation occurred while he was thought of as one of his favorite Western embodiments, the actress Grace Kelly.
Yep.
But those ejaculation moments, especially this one, wasn't really one of his first ones. I mean, this might have been unaided, but there was a period in his life that he did, I guess,
So
kind of have a hard time ejaculating or something. I don't know. Share
okay,
just
so
share this
this
memory
is
with us, please.
one of the issues that
You want
that we're
some more? You want some
um
more sake? Or
actually
do you
here.
want to try the other
I was gonna
one?
say, let me finish this and we'll try the other stuff.
Okay.
Um, when we were saying like some of the stuff his mom did might have kind of hurt him growing up, this is one of them. They didn't talk about sex. Sex was never brought up. Like he distinctly remembers never hearing his parents even mention it as a young child, which means he grew up very naive. When his first erection, he thought he was sick. He thought something was wrong, and because he had no knowledge of it, he had no idea what masturbation was, anything like that. So the way he found to relieve himself was he would
Hmm.
get assistance from the family dog.
Oh my God. Was it a Rottweiler?
I don't know, but he would have the dog
I'm imagining some small little like
licks
Pekingese or something
right,
like that.
but he would have the family dog lick stuff off of him, and he would get off that way.
Really?
That was his form of masturbation.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Well,
which
I
I
mean,
mean,
my family, I never really talked. My family never was open about sex and either.
but you
I never
probably
really
had a
talked about
little bit of the
sex.
talk growing up, I would
I
assume. Like
don't
once you
remember if we
started,
did. If I did, I don't remember.
either that or like in school you may have heard something, but like from the sounds of it, like he was super secluded. So like there weren't like he didn't have friends that would talk about it. He didn't have any of that stuff.
Right.
Like where most people, you either have the sex talk with your dad or your mom or whatever, and then you'll hear something about it in school during health class, and then you always have friends that are joking around about it. He wouldn't have had any of it. Like he didn't have friends, so no friends to joke around and learn stuff from. Like his parents didn't talk about it, and I don't know what their schooling was like. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like
Right.
he
Yeah.
just grew up completely naive to it, which I can see that traumatizing a child and an adult as they got older. Like you don't know what's happening. You don't know how to respond to the feelings that you have and the changes. We're gonna have the sex talk. So when you have changes to your body,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
but he doesn't know how to react to those changes. So yeah, it's gonna skew him.
Right.
And it's not gonna get, and since he's not socialized, you don't have that this is okay, this is not okay upbringing for socialization.
Right.
That's just asking for trouble.
Well, I'm just wondering if the family dog was passed around. If that was just like tradition.
God, I hope not. God, I hope not.
He's seen his father do it. He's seen his mother do it. His
Right.
uncle do it.
This is the family peanut butter jar. We know Skippy likes some Skippy.
Right. That's why we named our dog Skippy.
Exactly.
Okay.
We're terrible.
All right. So anyway,
Back on
right.
track.
Like we said, he found really, a lot of.
Are you warming this? Are you trying to warm
All
the
right. I
sake
didn't know.
for me, Ron?
I didn't know. I didn't know what to do with the sake. So yeah, there you go. So here it is.
Ron's warming the sake between his legs for
And
me.
what they said about warm sake, that it's cheap sake. But hopefully this is not so cheap. This is called Moonstone sake. It's Asian pear.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's craft sake infused with Asian pear essence, a pleasant balance of crisp, premium Jinjo sake with a hint of dryness and fresh, lightly sweet pear.
Hopefully
There we
that
go.
pear comes through.
Yeah, you weren't liking the first one?
It wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't bad. For drinks. Like I would have more if that was what there was to drink.
Okay.
You're not finished. You're not finished.
Oh shoot, I'm not.
You're
Well,
not-
I'm mixing.
You're like, fuck it.
I'm mixing. I'm
Mixed
mixing.
drinks.
There we go. I'm mixing my sakes, which probably is a big no-no. Yeah.
Ooh, that does have a nice little pear. Like,
It's a little bit better.
yeah, it's
So I'm not going to get the full essence of
No,
this
you're
pear.
not.
I'm not going to get the bright
and
crispness.
it's right at the front. Like the pear is like
Okay, yeah, I got
right
it.
there, and then
Oh
it
yeah.
goes to the kind of more dry, whiny type
Even though I
feeling.
mixed it a little bit, but still I get the notes
Yeah.
of that pear
Yeah.
and everything. It's a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
It's not as heavy and not as dry,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
I kind of like this one better,
Right.
honestly. Hmm.
But like I said, I don't like dry wines, like red wines.
Right.
I'm not a big fan of.
Right.
Which I was thinking, if we didn't do Bloody Marys for our next one, I was thinking get like red wine.
Okay.
That would also work.
Sure. Okay. All right.
Because that,
Yeah,
fits.
kind of
Yeah.
fits with what's coming up next,
Yeah,
but we won't
exactly.
get into that until the end.
Later.
Yeah. All right. So he was
Later.
fixated. So basically, Issei was fixated on a lot of the Western actresses.
Yep.
Grace Kelly to be one. He was fixated on the low cut dresses she and other movie stars had worn at the time as well. So there we go. And one note down. Oh yes! Was that a bullseye? Was that a bullseye?
I caught it out of
Did I
the
get
corner
it?
of my
Oh,
eye.
I
I
think
saw
that
it
was
hit
a bullseye.
the top part of it.
I think
There
it
you
was.
go.
I
You
think it was
might have hit.
bullseye.
You
Oh,
might have hit.
it just feels like a basic accomplishment for me when I
Right?
could do
You
that
actually
to
hit-
everybody out there. If I can just hit you, just like right dead on, it's like yes, I
Let me
feel
just
good for the rest of the
throw shit.
podcast. Yeah,
So there's Ron's true intention. He just wants to throw shit
Right.
at people.
right. So his very specific fantasy included first caressing, then eating these women. Why not? The fusion between sex and cannibalism had then been established. And for Sagawa, it was the point of no return.
Yep.
That was it. Ever conscious of his introverted physicality, which we kind of touched on, he was very frail. What did you say? What was his height?
4'9",
4'9".
and
That's shorter. Wait
yeah.
a minute. I think that's shorter than my wife.
yeah, it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he would be considered a dwarf legally.
Well, I don't know if he's a
dwarf, right?
dwarf. He is legally handicapped here in the U.S. Whether it's considered dwarf or not, I don't know, but I know it is considered legally handicapped.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's frail, so he's not only really short, but he's really skinny.
So it looks like
well.
you could just take him and like
Oh,
over your
yeah.
knee and just break him in half.
Yeah.
Even for me.
Oh yeah, even for you. Yeah.
I'd be like a gargantuan compared to him.
Right.
And that's not saying much. And you being the barbaric.
Right.
Right.
Gosh, I probably outweigh him by shoot.
Right.
Well, let's see here. He's less than 5 feet tall. He was considered extremely frail.
Right.
So 80, 90 pounds is
Wow.
how big he probably weighed, I would assume, with like my guessing of sizes at least.
Wow. That's crazy.
And I'm
That's small.
240.
Jeez. You could crush him between your butt cheeks, break him in half.
Right?
So
Body slam.
so because of this intro, don't fall backwards. Don't die on the podcast right now. Don't knock yourself
Come
unconscious.
on, just think of the rating.
Well, because of this introverted physicality, he felt he could nourish himself with the flesh of the bodies of these Renoir type of Hollywood beauties and actresses that held him so transfixed. As he grew, his fantasies intensified, and he took pleasure in relieving himself through masturbation at any opportunity. Well, who doesn't?
Right? Come on.
I mean, it doesn't make me a cannibal because I like to incessantly masturbate.
I knew it. Is that why it always takes you so long
Well,
to get
hell,
to the door?
that's
when I
right.
Get here?
Hell, if I wasn't podcasting, that's what I'd be doing right now.
It's like, shit, I got to rub one out real quick before Derek comes in. I'm not going to have like 3 hours to do this at least.
Right.
And then that's why you shoo me out the door as soon as we're done. Right?
Yes. So, with feeling that he can nourish himself, and because of this low self-esteem that he had, and this physicality, this low self-esteem about his own physical appearance, he felt he could consume these women. Somehow would make him feel more robust, I guess. This would then further introduce him more to more overt violence because of these imaginings that he would have. So now you got the cannibalism, you got the sexual aspect of it. Now you got the violent aspect of it as well.
See, I think it's hilarious because one of his fantasies was watching one of these women in the shower and sneaking up behind them and strangling them.
Oh, with a belt.
I don't think
Yes.
he could pull that off. Like, I'm
Do you
sorry.
think he would have to jump up and try to get it
Like,
around their neck?
hold on, let me
Let me
grab the
jump.
stool
Hold on,
first.
let me get up there. He brings his own little stool strapped to his back and trying to quietly sneak into the bathroom.
Clunk,
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 clunk.
clunk.
He couldn't
Like,
carry the
hops,
stool.
hops up on the top of the stool like a hobbit.
There's nothing behind you. Hold on.
My precious, my precious. This is where he reminds me of Gollum.
Right?
This sounds like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
sounds like a Gollum.
Yeah, he does this quiet, squirmy, little wormy, like,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
and you're right. He would have these fantasies about strangling these women, these Hollywood
yeah,
actresses, sneaking into their showers, strangling them, and then eating them.
yeah. And there is a story later on, further into the episode, where he proves he can't do it. His first German attempt.
Ah,
That
okay.
that that one he kind of showed that that's not gonna happen.
Right. Well, Sagawa first contract. Well, he first contacted a psychiatrist at the age of 15, which is kind of really weird because typically, like with serial killers, or you don't hear of them on their own
Yeah,
contacting a psychiatrist because they feel something's wrong with them.
right.
I mean, he really tried. He thought there was something really wrong with him and he wanted
Yeah.
help.
This isn't normal. What's wrong? Tell me.
Right, right. And this was some years after his sexual fantasies had taken root, but not long after they had begun to vividly incorporate murder. The psychiatrist he spoke with informed him that in order to be of any assistance, Sagawa would need to actually come to the office and talk rather than hide away on the other end of the phone.
Yeah.
So, far too embarrassed to sit face to face with someone and discuss, his fantasies and everything, Sagawa reluctantly closed off the possible avenue of release for those deviant thoughts and
Yeah.
behaviors he felt he was having, but did eventually share his secrets with his brother. But his brother just kind of brushed it off
Yeah.
like it was, he was joking around and didn't really give, Sagawa, Issei much
Yeah.
um, attention when it
Yeah.
came to
His
that.
his family really didn't help him out. Like, they helped him, but they rich kid helped him. Spoiling him and protecting him and covering for him and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like, there wasn't
yeah.
the actual, like, good family help and
No,
support that you need when something's
no,
wrong
not
at
on the
home.
emotional level.
Yeah.
No, it was more, would you say,
Yeah.
materialistically? Love was shown more
Yep.
materialistically, I guess,
Yeah.
in that
Well,
way.
like, yeah, through the father, he'd throw money at the problems. The mother just, coddled and protected at every turn. Brother just went, you're fine.
Right.
Like,
And
hi, good joke, bro.
yeah,
Like,
and Ishi's going,
yeah,
I think I messed up,
right.
everybody. I messed up. Well, Issei's lack of connection, professional or with his family, forced him to retreat even further into his isolated and increasingly violent inner realm. He could not get these thoughts out of his head, and if no one could help him, he certainly could not help himself. So he just kind of resigned to the idea and fantasies that he had.
Yep.
Like, okay, oh well, this is
Yeah.
who I am. Nobody can help me. I can't help myself. I can't deal with this on my
Right.
own. I guess whatever. Shrugged his shoulders.
Moved
This is
on.
who I am. This is it. So it was in 1970 he finally allowed his first encounter in real life, endangering the life of a real live human being,
Right.
not just in his fantasies anymore.
Yep.
He stalked a young German woman, like you were saying, found out where she lived, and that she sometimes kept a window open
Yeah.
at night. So he snuck into her house, crept over her bed, but he had fantasies of this is it. This is the big one.
Yeah.
I'm going to finally do it. I'm going to kill somebody and I'm going to cannibalize them. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, ever since I was 6 years old.
Right. This is the moment.
Right. This is it. I'm going to do it. Well, what happened?
Well, from the story I heard, and you may have heard something a little different, but on his way past, I believe he went to her kitchen because he had to grab a knife.
Okay.
If I am not mistaken, he went was going to go into her kitchen to grab a knife, but he brushed against her as he walked past,
Oh.
which woke her up. So
Okay.
when he came back, she beat his ass essentially.
Really?
She tackled him and restrained him and called the cops.
Okay. Yeah.
So like his little, like I said, his little fantasies of sneaking up behind somebody in the shower, she very well proved that he can try, but they'll just turn around and kick his ass.
I think any Asian woman who might be slightly larger than Issei probably could take him down.
Right. Much less a freaking German woman,
Right.
that's
Yeah, especially, yeah, you got some of those rotund German women.
right. I mean,
I mean,
shit.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he bit off more than he could chew.
Yeah. Oh.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
But from what I had also heard, after he was apprehended by the police, his father
Yep.
came to the rescue
Paid the lady
and
off.
threw money at the situation. And
And-
that's kind of like Issei's life.
So the funny thing is do you know what he was getting charged with?
What?
He wasn't getting charged.
Have the cap still on.
Are you okay?
Gee, I don't know if I need more sake.
Right? So they didn't get him for attempted cannibalism or murder or anything like that.
You want a filler?
Yeah, just fill it up. They got him on attempted rape.
Really?
And because he wasn't about to tell the cops that, no, officers, I wanted to kill her and eat her. He was like, yeah, sure.
Sure,
Yep.
that's what
I
it
was
is.
gonna rape her. Yep. And then, dad came in, offered her a settlement. She dropped
Mhm.
the charges and he walked free
Hmm.
with no criminal history.
Wow.
Uh-oh, we stopped recording.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
How far back was it? Because if it was too far back, we'll just keep going.
We'll just take a look.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a ways.
Yeah.
I say we leave it and we just pull the audio on.
Yep. So
Right.
Right,
That was
yeah, we're-
like a good 5 minutes of us talking without
Yeah.
recording. I had just looked at it too. Like
yeah.
I think I probably looked at it at 48 minutes and was
Right.
like, oh hey, we're still recording. And so I looked away.
Right. So I think,
Right.
I think, we're having software problems. So, on the end of just the software that we utilize for our podcast. So we're probably just going to pull the audio from our YouTube,
From
anyway.
YouTube.
Yep. So we'll just keep running with that anyway. So what happened the next day? Issei was back on the phone to another psychiatrist. And he needed help, he said, real bad. This time he was persuaded to visit the office of the psychiatrist, and having listened to Issei's story of the night before, the psychiatrist was unsympathetic, pronouncing the young man a public danger and making it clear that he had crossed ethical boundaries with his admission. Yeah. So in 1977, Issei switched the venue from Tokyo's Wako University to Sorbonne in Paris University. So he left Japan and went to Paris.
Big French literature person.
Yeah.
Big French literature.
Yeah. And so, which definitely had, a lot of candidates for his desires.
Right. Exactly. Dreaming about
especially
Western
over in France.
Oh yeah. Well, and from one thing I had seen was a lot of people from at least Japan have this big dream of Paris.
Oh, okay.
And so like that probably doesn't help either. Like Paris is like the spot.
Yeah.
It's very disappointing once they get there, but their dream is it's the spot, or at least it used to be like
Right.
the spot to go. But yeah, so he, all his fantasies were going to be, come true in Paris. He was hoping.
Yeah. I mean, he was 28 years old at that time too. And definitely still a virgin.
Does the dog count?
Suddenly, in the presence of all these young French women who had, Issei was basically just raring and ready to go. He had been living in the city for almost 2 years when to him a tragedy occurred. It was in 1979 The beautiful American actress Jean Seberg committed suicide in her car. Issei was amazed that her body was found not only in Paris, but also a short distance from where he resided. Seberg had been one of the earliest infatuations, and Issei concluded it was fate that she had died so near to him. The papers reported how she had been naked when found, and Issei could not control his roller coasting brain. He dreamed of getting to the actress's corpse before the police found her and taking her back to his flat to eat her.
She
Just
was
like
real
you would do for any actress, that's what you would dream of.
she was really pretty. I don't blame him.
Was she really?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, she was pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't blame him. Right. I would eat her
Yeah.
too. My God.
Ron, you're awful.
Oh my God.
I mean, I don't blame him for being infatuated with her. Like, she is a very beautiful woman. But
right. But
we're going
maybe
that
not
route.
maybe not eating her.
Not yeah. I mean,
Okay.
not in the way that he
Well-
wanted to at least.
Well, Issei felt that since he was surrounded by True that. Yes, I hear it. Yeah.
And this is why our YouTube streams are marked as not for children.
Right. Right.
Maybe they should be 18 and up. But, we're not going to do anything about that.
Yes. So Issei felt that since he was surrounded by all these very young women and dressed in very scantily attire,
Right.
especially over in France,
Oh, yeah.
Issei knew he must act soon. Maybe if he took just one woman, it would be enough to get those desires out of his system. The prospect comforted him somewhat, as he claims he did not wish to go through life killing people.
Yeah.
Thinking that by actually carrying it out from beginning to end, his ultimate fantasy, it would stop him from repeating future
Yeah.
crimes. And so his plan involved luring the easiest target he could think of. And what is the easiest target to get back to your apartment?
room?
A prostitute.
Of course.
Of course.
Well, and I mean, not only are they easy to lure somewhere, but if they go missing, sadly, they're kind of just brushed off as
Sure.
they ran away, they OD'd and died somewhere. I mean, they're just gone. They're the
Right. This
one-
was definitely before the Me Too movement.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say they've always been kind of viewed as one of the dregs of society. So
Sure.
if a prostitute goes missing, it's
Oh well.
not a big deal until you find a body, and even then, it's a prostitute. Like,
Right.
oh no.
Right. So he was hoping he could lure a prostitute back to his apartment and stab her to death.
Meh.
Well, he eventually managed to pick up a pretty blonde prostitute, but after trying to creep up on her as she showered, found he could not go through with it.
He just realized he wasn't tall enough to reach her neck.
Right.
Sorry.
Right. If he would have just had that stool.
Right? That damn
Damn it.
stool. But the one he had was one of those 3-step stools, and that was just too heavy to drag into the bathroom.
And he couldn't unfold it.
Right?
He's just too
You
weak.
had to ask for help.
Those things are hard to
unfold it.
unfold. Come on.
are
I even have a hard
pain.
time unfolding those things.
Right?
Imagine Issei trying to unfold that.
Ma'am, can you unfold this for me?
I just have
Like
to wash.
a little kid running to his
Yeah.
mom. Like, Mom.
I would like to wash your bag. What do you got there? I just want to wash your bag.
Here's an extra $20.
I really love washing prostitutes' bags. Oh my God. Well, there were several failed attempts with other prostitutes as
Yeah.
well. So in 1980, he decided, after failing miserably, he decided to go back to Japan, kind of defeated, like, damn it. Not even the prostitutes I can't
Right.
kill. He stayed for 4 months and then returned back to Paris, where he could go on to make basically another decision that would really turn everything over for him and one of his victims. It was Rene Hartevelt. And she would be the object of 3 decades of sickness that
Yeah.
he would actually endure with. From the moment he met Rene Hartevelt, he was captivated. She was a beautiful Dutch student and had came to Paris to study literature at the same college. Issei lived in a rented accommodation in the Atoules Dauphine district, a short distance from where he had a modern literature class at Sorbonne's School of Oriental Studies. Unable to get Rene, who so perfectly matched his dreams, out of his head, Issei formulated a plan. Traveling home on the metro one afternoon, he was thrilled to come face to face with a girl who had dominated his thoughts for a long time. It was his chance, their meeting, and Sagawa would not pass it up. Rene Hartevelt recognized him from the literature class they had shared together, and the pair had their studies in common, and so Sagawa used this to strike up a casual conversation with her. Though fundamentally shy and retiring, Sagawa knew what he wanted. For her part, the astute Rene Hartevelt recognized that behind the retiring exterior, there was an obviously intelligent young man, possessed of much wit and charm.
It's ironic how somebody so shy and so frail can like rise to the occasion when he really wants to.
Right,
It
without his
goes
dog.
it go it goes to show that if you put your mind to it, you can do it, guys.
Yes,
You can do
that's
it.
right. Right.
If you're a lone single male or female out there in the world and you just feel like there's nobody out there for you and you just don't have the guts to go ask, if Issei Sagawa can befriend his dream, so can you.
That's right.
Sorry. Sorry.
So usher on, you romantic warriors.
So sorry.
That is relationship advice from Dr. Derek. Oh my God.
Oh,
So he
shit.
eagerly anticipated their next literature class together, where he intended to move things along. After the lecture, it was suggested by the group that they go out that evening for a meal at a local Greek restaurant. Issei could barely suppress his joy when Renee expressed her desire to attend. And being part of the group, the invitation was also extended to Issei. Issei set a date for them to also to visit his apartment. But when it came to that evening, all but one person showed up. And that one person was
Aw,
Renee.
poor
Yeah.
baby.
Inviting Renee to talk further about herself. The, the answer presented itself when she mentioned that she spoke 3 languages fluently: English, French, and German. Take into account that she was short on finances, Issei expressed much interest in learning to speak German so that he might read some of the original romantic poetry that he found very interesting, which was in the German language. So, if Renee was interested in tutoring him, he would pay her for her services. So she accepted. Upon her return for the first German lesson, Issei thought this was the time he had waited so long for. So when Renee arrived at the flat, that's several nights later, he was all psyched up and jittery, ready to go. And he was very excited. Issei had last minute reservations when faced with the reality of what he was about to do. He was now confronted with the reality of harming somebody, but he could not go through with it. So when Renee left that night, another opportunity missed. And Issei just kind of berated himself. He felt himself was a loser, even lower self-esteem
Right.
at that time, you know. And it weighed really heavy on his mind. But the next time he failed again. When he invited Renee over, she was distracted. And while she was reading some more German poetry out loud, trying to get her to be distracted,
Yep.
he went to the kitchen, pulled out I believe, a 22. And
I was gonna say that's what I heard.
approached her from behind, put it to the back of her neck. I don't know if he touched her, probably not, but he actually held it to the back of her neck,
Yeah.
probably from a distance, pulled the trigger, but the gun jammed.
Yep.
Imagine that. Shit. Reading. Keep reading.
You're doing a
What are you
great
doing?
job.
Oh, I'm just getting snacks. I'm just getting some cheese and crackers. So, but on Thursday, June 11th, 1981, Issei again took up his rifle and crept up behind the preoccupied Renee as she was reading more poetry. This time, he blasted a hole in the back of her neck and watched as she collapsed forward onto the living room carpet, blood pooling around her head. Issei would later say that he had been so shocked by the result of the actions that he had fainted.
Yep.
Now that's only here. I mean, that's just on his
I
account.
mean, a lot
You
of it
know,
is, but
yeah, a lot of it
yeah.
is, but it's kind of like, did he really? Didn't he? I mean, is he just? I mean, that's something that I think somebody who would have some essence of empathy and sympathy would
Well,
probably
I mean,
happen, unless it was an overload
he
of the
said
senses.
he said he had some sense of sympathy because she did become his friend. Like, she did
Right,
honestly
right.
form a relationship with him. So, I mean, he said that it was, out of the fact. And also, I mean, he's a frail, I don't want to say malnourished, but I mean, like, he's a frail little dude. It probably doesn't take him much to pass out. Like,
Right.
you could probably get him to faint if you look at him too much. I mean, those little goats that you see on YouTube videos where you
Yeah.
scare them, and they fall over.
Right.
Like, I
That
have
could
a,
be him.
I have a feeling.
Right. So when Issei did finally come to, he claimed to have been feeling quite ill and experienced a rather otherworldly quality as he looked over Rene laying there. Issei says he was afraid of the corpse he had created, and that this very real act of murder was a far cry from the potent sexual fantasies he had nurtured for so long. Evidently, the sudden repulsion did not incapacitate him for long, as his next actions were to strip the girl of all her clothing and bite down hard on her left butt cheek. Of course. Why not?
Right.
But to his surprise, he could not pierce through her skin. Yeah. So, I don't know.
I mean, he's weak and frail. Like, I'm pretty sure if you or me
Yeah.
bit someone,
Right.
if we wanted to, we could break skin.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, who knows how
little
many pounds per
kids,
square inch he has in those chompers.
like, if a little kid bites you hard enough, I mean, it can draw blood sometime,
Right.
like,
Right.
him on the other hand.
Unless he was just too lazy to really
Right.
put more effort into it. But you figure, I
grr.
mean, yeah, who knows? I mean, who knows what he was if he was feeling at the time? I mean, if he had fainted and tried to came to, he
Yeah.
might have been very weak at the time and couldn't do it. Maybe he was disoriented. Who knows?
Right. Maybe it wasn't like, maybe he like did it and then he was like, oh, I can't like bring myself to close
this.
the mouth.
Right, right. Well, to compensate for that, Issei went to the kitchen and returned with the sharpest knife that he could find, an 8-inch carving knife. Slicing through what he would later describe as thick yellow layer of fatty tissue, he reached the red meat he carved. Slowly, as if looking through the eyes of another, he felt, he drew the knife blade back and forth, neatly severing a piece of her flesh. Placing this in his mouth, he began to chew, savoring what he says tasted like raw tuna fish. Interesting. So that's definitely going to make sushi a different experience for me next time.
God, I'm glad I don't eat sushi.
I'm going to turn to my wife and say, you know what, honey? I bet you this is what human flesh tastes like.
Look over at her and be like, hey, baby, let me take a bite out of that ass.
As Issei ate, he was not surprised to learn that he had an erection. And so this kind of goes back to when all of that was formulating as a young child. He felt that Rene tasted very, very exquisite. So he turned Rene onto her back.
It's raw tuna fish.
Yeah.
Raw tuna fish doesn't taste exquisite, guys.
I don't know. I guess maybe over in Japan,
maybe
it's like over here, it's like tastes just like chicken. Maybe over there, it tastes just like raw tuna fish.
It doesn't taste like raw chicken.
You got a point. You got a point.
He's like Smeagol. He likes it raw and wriggling.
Oh my God. So how do I go on to this next part after that? Well, he turned her onto her back and then carved out a section of her thigh.
Yep.
Well, he was feeling very sexually turned on. So just like any guy who had just killed somebody and started cannibalizing the corpse, what do you do next?
I mean, you have sex with it,
You, of
right?
course, you do.
I
You
mean, what else
perform a
is
little bit
there
of
to do?
necrophilia on the body. Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, when I was doing research for this, I was just imagining what that would be like.
Yeah.
Not for myself,
Yeah.
but from the point of
Man, the
Issei.
blood's gotta get in the way.
Well, I don't
Slop
know.
all over the
Well,
blood from the thigh and the butt and like
yeah,
the back of her head.
sure.
Just getting all over the place.
Oh,
You're gonna have
gee,
to take
what
a
a mess.
shower after
God,
this. Oh
what
my
an
god.
inconvenience. Just too much blood. She has way too much blood.
This
So,
is why you do it in the tub first, drain the blood, and then I
did
mean,
it? Yeah, but if you're in the heat of the moment
yeah, I
and
know.
you're having those romantic inklings,
Right.
you don't want to take time to drag into the
So
tub and
what
drain
he
the blood.
should have done is spilt something on her, convinced her she had to take a shower, shot her while she was in the tub, taking the shower.
And then
All
did
the
what he had to
blood
do.
runs down the drain and you're good to go. I mean, come on. If they say he was a smart guy, come on. It doesn't take that much, Issei.
I think he
Like,
was
come
just
on,
too
think
quick.
through it a
He
little
was
bit.
just too quick.
He was
Yeah, he was too quick.
way too anxious, too
He was
eager,
too
like
anxious.
little kid in a candy store.
Right. He was new to that. I mean, come on. Would the professionals do it this way? I think
Right?
not.
Come on.
But he was just learning.
He was. It was his first time.
Right.
Literally his first time.
Really, yeah. So heaving the body into the bathtub, he used the same knife with which he had to cut off some of her flesh to begin cutting off both her legs. Next, he hacked away at both arms until he was able to wrench them free from their sockets. Kind of like when you're breaking like a chicken, like when you're carving a whole chicken. That's what I'm thinking. It's like you have to break that, that portion of the leg where you can cut through the thigh and the leg.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, oh no.
Only it's human size.
Yeah.
Itty bitty chicken size.
Right. So finally, he plunged his knife into Renee's throat and began severing her head in the bathtub.
But shooting her made him pass out. What the fuck is wrong with it?
Yeah. So he decides just to go hackfest on her. Like, really? Really? But, this is good thinking on Issei's part. He kept cold tap water running so it would drain the blood down the bathtub.
There you go.
But to your point, it should have been done first.
Just do it in the bathtub so that way that's happening the whole time.
Right. Not to say, not to give any advice to any, homegrown
exactly.
cannibals out there.
Right.
But just saying.
Or murderers in general.
Right. So Issei did claim that the act of dismemberment was not pleasurable for him. So, I mean, we only have his word to go by on this. I mean, anybody could say that. Oh, yeah, I didn't really enjoy it that much. And inside he's going, that was kind of balls. That was kind of like, yeah, that was cool.
Question is was it not pleasurable for him, or did it turn into a Jackson Pollock painting in his freaking in his bathroom there, which is glow in the dark everywhere?
Right. Yeah. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. So, there's been a lot of sexual psychopaths who mutilate their victims' bodies, experience gratification from doing so, but Issei said he didn't. Yeah. But it seems to be the case with more or less most people who have done this. They say that they enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So Issei's self-confessed revulsion to his deeds did not deter him from cutting more segments from Renee's body, particularly her thigh and her butt, then wrapping them in plastic and putting them into the refrigerator. So it just kind of makes you,
come on.
Yeah.
When you're only like 90 pounds, you can only eat so much, man, and you gotta have leftovers.
So Issei ventured from his flat over the next couple of days, disposing of her clothing. But he did retain her pants. And I also had heard that he did retain her underwear, that at one point while he was eating some of the leftovers, that he used her underwear as a napkin.
Oh,
yeah.
There's a lot of issues with this guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's kind of like a personal trophy that a lot of sexual killers will do. Will take some sort of trophy from their victim just to kind of relive the event.
Yeah.
Again, trying to revisit, that the murder,
Yeah.
and kind of goes back to his revi- his what is it, his interest in like other literary works where he could feel he could revisit time and time and again, and almost like he became obsessed with these literary works and the women in these. So he did purchase a couple of large suitcases. Issei stuffed the collection of body parts inside and closed them up. Perhaps in an effort to show that nothing overshadowed his life, he accompanied fellow students on a trip to the cinema. Presumably, his performance had been as effective as any good movie actor would do, because by some of the people that he went to the movies with, they said that he seemed to be very calm, cool, and
Yeah.
collected, very laid back. He seemed to be in a really good mood. So,
If you're, because I mean, he was a bit of a recluse.
mhm.
I mean, how hard is it to play a recluse?
Right.
I mean,
You just got to sit there. Right. There's not much acting involved.
right? Like, hi guys,
Right.
I'm here.
Right.
Hey, Issei's here. All right,
Right.
let's go watch the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
That was
anybody.
a good movie, guys. See you later.
Right. Yeah. He seemed like normal Issei.
Yeah. All right. Just kind of
Right.
withdrawn and
Yeah. So that same night, he returned to his studio flat to eat some more of Rene. Taking several cutlets from the fridge, he fried the flesh in a pan, cooking it through to his liking. He added some mustard, some salt, some pepper, and he said it kind of tasted like veal after he cooked it up. He said it was kind of tough and chewy, even though he tried to tenderize it as well. This is what he said.
got that meat tenderizer.
Yeah, boom, boom, boom. You got the guy in the apartment downstairs going, "What the hell? Shut up, Issei! What the hell you doing?
Murdering someone up there? Or what,
Right.
man?
Oh, Jay. Oh my God. But nonetheless, the meal, he said, was enjoyable. Well, thank goodness for that.
Right.
So again, as he was eating her, he sat there in a state of total sexual excitement. And again, he got off.
Yeah.
Who knows how many times this probably happened, probably several times.
Yeah.
So, but by Saturday night, Issei concluded that it was basically time to let's get rid of the body. The flies and the smell is a little too much for my
Right.
swamp ass apartment at this time.
I mean, he was smart enough to go, if I keep this here too much longer, it was middle of summer.
Oh, God, imagine.
Like, he was like, this is going to really start to smell bad if
Right.
I wait too long.
Right.
So, I mean, he at least had the wherewithal to do that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I imagine Issei probably didn't want to open up a window.
Right.
Imagine the passerbys, just, God.
What the hell?
What is he
Man,
cooking in there?
It smells like a dead body's in there.
God.
Whoa, that guy needs to clean.
He needs to clean his apartment, man. So the dismembered limbs and trunk were beginning to exude an unpleasant odor in this warm, hot, stuffy apartment. So that's when Issei took that taxi cab ride that we talked about at the beginning of the episode. So back to the couple in the park.
Well, he had also purposely bought those suitcases.
Yes, he did.
That.
Yes,
So,
he did.
Like, he went out and he was like, I need 2 big suitcases. Let's go. So
Yeah.
like he did plan this out. It wasn't something that was just a shit, what can I throw her in?
Right.
I got suitcases. No, he actually was like, okay, now I gotta go get suitcases. Hold on. Go on.
Right.
Spend some money, go buy some suitcases. And suitcases aren't cheap.
No, they're not.
Especially like the big ones. Those are pretty expensive.
Especially to stuff a body in.
But then again, his daddy was rich.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
right. Nothing but the best.
Did he spend his money or did he spend daddy's money?
Right. Louis Vuitton suitcases.
Right. I was going to say, is it bad that I'm curious on what kind of suitcases
I want to know.
Like, are they like Meyer Samsonite, like regular suitcases? Or were they like you said, like Louis Vuitton, or like something,
or like the vagabond
high-end suitcase,
or like those old 1950 vagabond suitcases,
exactly.
Or the guy who's actually, the homeless guy or whatever, is walking on the side of the road.
Find out that's what it was. He just mugged 2 homeless people and
stole their suitcases. Oh my God. So
I feel bad laughing because what happened to the girl is terrible. But at the
Yes, it
same time, we've
is.
got to make light of
Well,
situations so
because
it's not
the
depressing.
guy, I mean, it's just preposterous
Yeah.
what he did. It's just preposterous. And as far as saying that he didn't enjoy this, but continuing on with just planning all of this out and still taking pieces of her and cutting off pieces of her. But he said he didn't find that enjoyable, but he was still doing it.
Yeah. And like saving leftovers. Like, come on, man.
Right,
Like you're planning ahead.
right, right. So in the park, the couple that had noticed him walked on, but they had slowed their pace and watched as he veered sharply across the grass and headed towards the edge of the lake. Clearly, he intended to deposit his baggage into the water they seen. Just then, the man that they had seen turned and glanced and seen the couple looking at him.
Yeah.
So from their viewpoint, they seen this man turn, and that's when Issei turned and noticed, okay, yep, there's somebody watching me. So the couple's presence appeared to distract Issei from his mission, so he panicked and then hastily sliding both cases under a nearby bush, he turned and fled from
Okay.
the park. So the couple, intrigued by what they had just seen, walked up to the bush, seen the suitcases, and were very intrigued. Okay, what the hell is inside these suitcases? Like anybody, I know I would.
Yeah.
I'd want to see what he had left behind, but then again, I would still be hesitant, right? It could
Right.
be like a suitcase
Exactly.
is full of cobras. As far as you
What's
know
in
at
the
that
box?
point,
What's in the box?
right. Yeah.
Sorry for your eardrums, people. I
So they opened
apologize.
up the first suitcase, and that's what they found. They found the legs and arms of Rene. So in that first suitcase,
Now, I've heard 3 versions of
I
how
did.
it actually went down.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
heard that version. I heard, that, um, they saw him near the suitcases, but he had gotten distracted watching the sunset, and when they saw the suitcases, they said, "Hey, sir, are these yours?" He said, "No," walked away. Then they opened it, that's when the woman screamed. And then I also heard another version where the reason they got curious on what was in it was because they saw blood
Dripping out.
dripping out.
Yeah,
So there I've heard a few different stories. Essentially, couple walks up, guy opens the suitcase, lady
yeah,
screams. Issei's like, "Peace
yeah.
out, not mine. See you
I'm out of
later."
here. I'm running out as fast as I can because I also heard that the woman or the man had said, "Hey, stop him. He's a killer."
Yeah,
I also heard that
yeah,
account too. So who knows? But like
right.
you said, essentially the story is they opened up suitcases and there was Renee.
Yeah.
And so, fortunately, finding Issei, who is responsible, would not prove too taxing. After all, Issei had inadvertently assisted the authorities by being so reckless in disposing of Renee's body. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
Really?
well, and one thing I had heard was he had planned on doing it later at night.
Oh, okay.
Well, he planned on 8 o'clock, which is when he went to the park. But what he was hoping for was the park would be empty and it would be dark.
Hmm.
Only problem is it was still light out at that time of year at 8 o'clock at night, so there
Hmm.
were still people at the park.
Yeah.
So instead of doing the smart thing and going, like, cancel this, we'll try again tomorrow.
Right. You think he
He
could have just sat on the stench for just a little bit longer?
Right,
A
like
couple more
one
hours.
day isn't gonna kill you, or like because he had
Right.
to get a taxi. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, funny thing about the taxi actually that I almost forgot about. He called the taxi, had them plan to pick him up at 8 o'clock. Taxi driver got there when he was supposed to. Issei was too frail to pick up the suitcase. So the taxi driver got out, helped him load the suitcases in the back of the taxi, looks at Issei and goes, "Man, these things are heavy. What you got, a dead body in there?"
I heard that story as well.
And Issei goes, "Oh, no, no, no. It's just books. It's just books."
Yes, I heard that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if that is a true account, the
Right?
irony of that situation, kind of like the guy in the downstairs apartment where he's
Exactly. What
screaming, "I'm
you
gonna get
doing?
it!"
Killing somebody up
Right?
there?
I mean, the irony of that, if that's true,
Right, exactly.
this is
Like,
just crazy.
yeah,
Yeah. So, after a few days of systematic checking, the investigation into who actually was responsible for this came to light.
yeah,
A driver came forward who remembered taking the fare. The apartment building the taxi driver remembered collecting his fare from was an expensive but petite building, just like many others on that street. So it was a very affluent
yeah.
community. And there was only one Asian man residing in the building. So you would think maybe Issei maybe could have disguised himself, put on some sunglasses at least.
Something.
You know,
Gain 20 pounds.
it's, well, you think he would have after he's been feasting on Renee for a while,
Right.
but obviously not. He rented one of the so basically so it was on the second floor that where Issei rented the apartment. And so the police were looking to, you
Yeah.
hunt him down, talk with him at least, as their suspect had access to a firearm and was capable not only of murder, but also extensive mutilation and dismemberment. They were understandably on guard as they moved along the upper landing toward his front door. Well, they entered his apartment and placed Issei under arrest. Issei gave a lengthy confession regarding every aspect of the murder and acts performed on Renee. Police found him, though, polite and remorseful, kind of to a degree,
Right.
and though clearly he had killed for no other reason than for sexual pleasure. One of the first decisions made by the examining magistrate, Luis Brugueres, was to board a plane to Japan. So after he was under arrest, the magistrate who was to take the case felt that he wanted to look into Issei's background
Okay.
to see what would lead this type of
Yeah.
individual to this type of crime. So Brugueres talked with Sagawa's family, his doctors and psychiatrists to whom Issei had confided details of the attempted assault on the German girl. Despite many hours of conversations, it became clear that there would be no definitive answer to what led Issei to behave and perform those type of acts. So in 1982, almost 2 years after the murder of Renee, Judge Brugueres announced that, in his opinion, anybody prepared to kill and eat someone could not possibly be mentally sound. No shit.
Right.
Duh. Right? So, in fact, he declared that such an act constituted insanity. Brugueres believed that Issei had been suffering from advanced dementia. And ordered him confined indefinitely to Henry Collin Asylum for the Criminally Insane. And there was no trial
Yeah.
either. But this is where it kind of goes off the
Yeah.
rails.
This is where, like I was saying, like what he did was disgusting, and it just keeps getting
Yeah,
disgusting.
because over in France at the time when Issei was put away, there was a lot of press attention was given to this
Yeah.
case. And in fact, there was a author that wanted to do an autobiography of Issei. And so there was a lot of press that was surrounding this, and that there was a lot of he was becoming pretty popular over in
Yeah.
France. So to deter this, the French they released him and deported him back to Japan.
Yeah.
So as not to cause an outrage and to release him right away as soon as he reached Japan in the airport, Sagawa voluntarily, which I probably by the nudging of authorities, entered an institution over there.
There was a technicality behind that.
Okay.
What the story I heard, what I had read and everything in my research, was what happened was, because he was declared insane and never went through a trial, basically the case essentially got dropped. No charges were filed. The case was sealed. And because the case was sealed, when they handed him over to Japanese authorities, they could not reveal or they could not release the evidence that they had against him to the Japanese authorities. So when he went to Japan, they put him in an insane asylum. And because there was no proof that he had done anything wrong, he signed himself out. Talk about disgusting.
That is an injustice right there.
Because
Because Judge Brugueres wouldn't release those documents.
yeah, because technically there
Why?
some
Why is that?
some
Just because he was found
international
insane in
because
France?
because some international law that says that that was saying that once the documents were sealed, they weren't allowed to release them to the country they were giving him to.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So because of that, he was able to check into an asylum and go, peace out. I'm done. I don't want
Yep.
to be here anymore.
And that's when he had walked free, August 12th, 1986.
Yeah.
And he was only contained for about 5 years altogether. And that's it. And he walked free.
5 years for killing, mutilating,
Right.
raping, and
Mhm.
eating someone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's awful. And then to become famous afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, why don't you elaborate on that? Because after he walked free, I mean, he would basically
Yeah.
he would go on and he would write another book.
He wrote 20.
He wrote 20 books.
He has
Did he write a children's book? Now, I don't know. I came across something
he
like
wrote
or it had
manga. He wrote manga, which is like an animated book. Like
animated book
yeah,
about his
killing of Rene.
That's right. And it was illustrated.
Yes. Well, that manga, it's anime.
Okay, it's anime.
It's a different version.
Oh, manga. Okay,
I don't
now
I don't know what the difference
okay.
is between anime, manga, and all that stuff. But yeah, it's I think
Okay.
I think manga is the like pictured version where anime is the like cartoon TV version.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think something like that. Essentially graphic novel.
Okay.
For us Americans out there, essentially graphic novel if you don't know what a manga is. But
Okay.
yeah, he wrote that and it was based around his murder of Rene.
And he was allowed to release
And he
this.
was allowed to release it. He, like I said, he wrote 20 other books, a lot of them dealing with his life story and writing about women and stuff like that. He was an artist. I don't know if you read anything about that, but he actually
Yeah.
did portraits of women and sold them.
Yeah, he did nude
yeah.
paintings of women, didn't he?
Yep.
In his flat, in his apartment.
Yeah. And then
What the hell?
the big one, the nice movie he
This
was
is
in.
it. Yeah,
Now,
this is the cherry on top right
I
here.
don't know how much you heard about this movie that he was in, but he starred.
Did you want some more?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay.
I want more.
Okay.
He starred in a porno.
I thought it was a couple of them.
Well,
There was one that was kind
I
of an
know of-
exploitation film.
Yeah, I know of
Right?
at least one. And the poor girl, this kind of goes to show the porn world back in the day. She, after having sex with her, he revealed to her that he was a murderer.
Did he reveal to her the extent of the case?
I'm not sure. But it wasn't until afterwards that, and they like, it was part of the film. From at least, I mean, I obviously haven't seen it. I was not going to look that up.
I think that was the second one he did. The first one
okay.
he did was he was hired. It was more of an exploitation film where he played this kind of the sexual deviant, kind of the voyeuristic sexual deviant. But then the second one was more where this, I think the premise of the movie, it was kind of like a, what would you say, like a real life slash type of movie where this porn actress and Issei were living in this house together.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the premise, that he was living with this porn actress, and I did not view the movie. So usually, usually I do research like this for the show, but I did not view the movie.
I wasn't even going to attempt to look it up because for one, that's something I don't want to see, and for two, it just no, it's not big enough part of the story for me to be like, I need to check
I need to
this out.
not yeah, yeah, not like our episode on porn
Yeah,
where,
where it's like, okay,
that's
we seriously
yeah,
need to
yeah,
look into some of
not
this
like a
stuff for
yeah. Well,
actual
you know,
research purposes,
I'm
not
sure
quote unquote research purposes.
yeah, and I'm sure Issei was no Ron Jeremy.
Well, like
I
even
imagine no.
even for like Japanese porn, like you really like is there really a draw for this frail little 4'9"
Yeah.
dude?
Yeah, there is. Japanese porn is crazy.
I mean,
It
it
is
is
so
crazy.
deviant. I think Japanese porn is probably worse than American porn.
But it's so censored. It is so heavily censored.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much fetish
It's so
porn in
weird.
Japanese
Yeah.
porn, like Asian porn
Yeah.
itself, very fetish oriented.
Oh yeah. And now that we've gotten into like the big anime and manga like eras over the last 20 years or so, oh, it's gotten real weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Got tentacles everywhere.
Yeah, but not only was he in a porn, but he also did a photo spread, a photo shoot for a magazine. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was pictured in some of the in the
Yeah.
pictures. He was pictured with chopsticks,
Oh yeah,
eating
eating. Yeah.
eating at the table, and I think he did some restaurant reviews or some food reviews for the magazine as well.
I believe so. I was gonna say, and I know there was like a couple pictures of him like eating a chicken leg, like trying to
Right.
play it off as like cannibalism type
Yeah.
thing.
Now, did you going back to some of the pictures? Did you see the pictures of Issei sitting somewhere like on a couch with no clothes on, or he had like a
Yeah.
speedo on or something? Was those pictures taken of him when he was eating
Like
Rene?
self-taken pictures?
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
don't I
sure.
don't know if they were or not. They just seemed very odd, weird pictures.
But
And I don't know who they were taken by, if they were taken by him or somebody else.
you did hear that pictures of her got released, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's what, some French to
Yeah,
some French magazine, I
yeah,
believe
there
they
was
were the crime scene photos were
yep,
released, right?
yeah.
Did you look at some of those?
I didn't really. I did not look them up. I just from what some of the
Yeah.
videos I had seen, they had some and they showed
Oh,
some and
yeah. Yeah, he had actually
I
ate off part of her nose as well.
yeah,
So, and that's something that we didn't really talk about in the
yeah,
body of the show, but yeah, he was consuming parts of her face as well.
yeah. But like the journalist who released it, I believe got arrested
Yes.
and they confiscated thousands of the magazines that it was released
Right,
in.
right.
So they were like, "Yeah, you guys fucked up. This is not okay. We can't be
Well,
doing
poor
this."
Renee's family.
Yeah,
You know how they must have felt when they found out that he was released. Even to just to be criminally insane.
right. And then just kind of basically, essentially, a slap on the wrist.
Really, yeah, it is. Sent to an insane asylum,
Yeah,
Henry Collins Insane Asylum over in France, and not getting, the just, uh, basically the justice that he deserved.
I thought you were gonna say the just
Yeah, I
desserts.
was gonna say that. I really
So what part was the dessert? No, just kidding. Just kidding. Just
I was
kidding.
gonna say
Just
just
kidding.
desserts. I thought that would have been too much on the nose. Oh gosh.
Really,
I
really, Ron. Really.
but anyway, yeah. So
We're done.
yeah.
We're getting kicked off YouTube.
Right, right. Yeah. Any sort of dignity just went out the window for
We're
the
gonna get
show.
sued by Renee's family or some
Yeah.
shit. There's
But to think of her family and what they must have
yeah.
been going through this whole ordeal, to take 2 years to come to some sort of what am I looking for? Some sort of you know um what am I trying to think of? What word am I thinking of?
Conclusion.
Conclusion to the case,
Yeah.
that the judge had taken so
Oh yeah.
long
I mean, at least
to
he
have a
rotted in
verdict on the
jail for 2
case.
years before he got to do anything.
Right,
But I
right.
mean,
Yeah. So now, I guess currently now he's confined to a wheelchair and he's taken
yes.
care of by his
Yep.
brother. So,
Yeah.
but although I had heard that his brother also had some sort of desires as well
Yes. Yep.
to to cannibalize
Yep.
too.
Yeah.
And in fact, I had heard that Issei and his brother were trying to compare notes who was as far as more deviant thoughts. So no, I'm worse. I have worse thoughts than you do, Issei.
So
You know, and but I don't know if that's true. I had
right.
just heard that,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, and it's like in one of his interviews, he almost does a poor me type of thing because he's like, "Oh yeah, since this all came out, it's been really hard to find a job once they find out
Right.
what I did. Oh, poor you, fuck off. Like
Yeah.
you should be in prison right now getting raped by Big Bubba in the back room, you know?
Right.
like
Yeah.
there's a lot you should be going through hell right now literally, but you're not.
Right.
You're sitting at home with your brother with the wealth of your family just chilling, writing books, painting pictures of naked chicks, starring in pornos,
Right.
you know,
And,
with
well,
the ire
he was going on
and
talk shows as
yeah,
well. He had
yeah,
like a
interviews all over
yeah,
the
he was
place.
like on a circuit.
He didn't turn down an interview. He just it was like, "Oh, you want to interview me? Sure, let's go. Let's do this." Like, sadly, as long as he's still conscious, I bet you we probably could have like gotten a hold of whoever the hell you need to talk to and been like, "Hey, we got a podcast. We want to do an interview with
He
Issei."
probably would have came on our show.
And he would have been like, "Okay, well, it's midnight right now. Can you call us back when it's daytime?" And we would have been doing this episode at 12 o'clock at night instead
Right.
of whatever freaking time it is. 9:45. It
Yeah.
is currently 9:45
Yeah.
at night. This is
Right.
odd for us.
Yes, it is. Typically,
Nighttime
we record on a
episodes.
Sunday. So, yeah. So there was is like I said, I mean, he did photo shoots and everything like that, and he had a photo spread on the gourmet page of the magazine. Well, the interviewer had asked whether he enjoyed cooking, and Issei's reply was, "Just that one time." Almost like a slap in the face to the family. Just that one time. It was almost like it was rehearsed, like, "Oh, I can't wait to say this. I got this line I wanna
How
say." And
he
that
has literally confessed thousands of times to what he did. How can't they hold that confession against him?
yeah, I mean, is that insanity? I mean,
But
it
like
almost seems premeditated.
even
It's
as a
premeditated almost.
even if they would have charged him again with insanity in Japan, like, yeah, you don't have the original court documents of what he did, but he is literally sitting there going, I killed and ate a woman. I killed and ate a woman. I killed and ate a woman. I want to kill and eat a woman again. I want to do this
Yes.
again. Hey, let's do this again. Hey, bro, you want to see if we can go kill a woman? Like
Yeah.
at
I
every
hope
turn.
somebody's keeping a close eye on them too,
Right? I
you
mean,
know?
yeah, he's wheelchair bound, but doesn't mean
Doesn't mean
younger brother can't
he
help.
could just pull a body into the apartment and they
Right?
could have a feast.
Chow down.
Sure. I mean, it's crazy, but
I mean, they do have medical help. He is because of his ailments, he does get like daily medical
oh,
assistance.
oh, does he?
But who knows? Maybe one
Yeah.
of the has any of the nurses that have been helping him ever gone missing?
Right.
Decided to move away and haven't been heard from again. Like,
Yeah, I don't know if I would be the one that want to take that job,
oh hell
you
no,
know?
I ain't going to that fucking weird
You know?
house.
Yeah, ex-famous cannibal looking for,
And his
medical
weird brother.
assistance. Yeah, looking for medical assistance. Please reply.
No, I'll pass.
No.
Oh,
So there you
I'll
go.
pass.
There's the story of Issei Sagawa. Yeah.
Fucking
Yep. I'm glad we had the sake to get us through that.
right. Well, like I said, we make light of it, but if we don't make light of it, this is a horrific story.
It is.
And poor Renee, she and her family did not get the justice that was
No, they
deserved.
did not.
And it was
Yeah.
all around a terrible story.
It almost seems like they would never receive closure.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I feel like I mean, I know have been songs written about him.
Yeah.
I can't remember what ones they were, but there
I think
are
the
a
Rolling
few.
Stones
Yeah, they did
actually
one.
wrote a song
Yeah.
regarding Issei Sagawa.
Actually, I'm on here. I bet you it says it.
Yeah, then there were I think somebody else had wrote a song too. It wasn't just the Rolling Stones. I
Yeah.
think he was mentioned in other songs. I don't know if it was David Bowie or who it
Oh,
was.
let's.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Where does it say it? Oliver Stone, the Sagawa story, too much blood. Those
Oh,
Rolling
okay. Rolling
Stones.
Stones. Yeah.
Also inspired the Strangler song La Folle.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Noise black metal band Gnaw. Gnaw
Mm-hmm.
Their Tongues also released an EP called Issei Sagawa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there was at least 3 songs that were inspired by Issei.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, we're still talking about him.
Right.
We're
Yeah.
still talking about him to this date. But not to really glorify what he's done,
No.
but just to say that how much injustice was actually
Yeah.
done, through this whole case
Yeah.
and in his name as
Right.
well. So, well, there you go. All right.
Story by Issei Sagawa.
Yeah. So I think this kind of concludes
Yes.
the podcast about him.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any other thoughts that you have?
Don't cannibalize people. It's not
Yeah,
nice.
I don't think
It's
it's a good
mean.
thing.
It's naughty. You'll get
No.
spankings.
If you get bored one night, don't cannibalize
Right.
anybody. Please. Nobody
Guys,
cannibalize
You're
anybody.
sitting there, your
Right.
girlfriend's laying on the bed in front of you, and you're like, man, that ass looks juicy.
Right.
You can bite it. That's allowed.
Mhm.
You can bite it with
Right.
with permission. You don't want to cross any boundaries,
Right.
obviously. Nowadays, you got to be careful. But you can bite it.
Sure.
Just don't chomp down on it and tear flesh.
Sure.
There's lines. There's boundaries. You got to be careful.
But what if you get permission to do it? Such as the other cannibal that we had talked about before too, and he's from Germany. I can't remember, Meis, MEIS or something like that, where he put an ad in the paper.
True.
He wanted to cannibalize somebody.
Or
somebody had answered the ad. He did cannibalize them.
I was gonna say, or there was California, I believe, the cannibal cop. That same thing. They put an
Okay.
ad out in the paper.
Oh, another situation as well.
and They got permission
Mhm.
to cannibalize and kill the person.
Mhm. Yeah. So, like we said, cannibalizing is not a crime. Killing is the crime.
Exactly.
So, I guess if you get permission from somebody to cannibalize them while they're
mean,
alive, that's okay. I'm assuming,
I still
right?
wouldn't suggest it because you know how they say there are certain things that are oh, don't smoke weed. It's a gateway drug. Don't do this. It's a gateway thing. I feel like starting cannibalizing living people is a gateway issue.
Gateway to what?
The next step of killing and actually cannibalizing the dead body.
Okay.
It's taking that next step of
right.
man, on the off chance that you enjoyed it. Where it's man, I want to do that again. But nobody's answering my ads, but I gotta get my fix.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta eat some ass.
Right.
Literally eat some ass.
Yeah. Well,
what's the next step? Prostitute.
Mm-hmm.
Hire a prostitute. Bring them over.
Kill
if they
'em.
don't accept the money, kill them. Eat them.
Make sure you kill them in the bathtub first.
Right, with the water.
Well, I'm
running.
not saying.
I mean, we're not telling
giving
you
you
how
advice.
to do it. But if you were to do
it,
in
the bathtub first.
Yeah, with that cold water running, rinse it all down.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're definitely going to get some hate mail on that one.
We're screwed.
Right. So, since we talked about a juicy topic now, what you wanted to, since we kind of threw off our recording schedule was kind of thrown off. So we're going to be recording again here in a couple days.
Sunday morning.
So we got through this juicy topic. What is our next juicy topic that we're going to be talking about?
Vampirism.
Yes, or is it vampirism?
Vampirism?
Is it vampirism?
I think it's vampirism.
Is it vampirism?
I think so.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about that.
At least vampirism, I think it sounds more elegant.
Does
vampirism is
it almost it almost sounds like you're a little mental.
Yeah.
Vampirism. It's hard to say. Vampirism. Yeah. Kind of like when you say target sounds so much better.
Sounds elegant.
Yeah. So, we're going to be talking about vampirism. Yeah. And that's very interesting too, because there are real life vampires out there, everybody. So watch your backs, watch your necks.
Right.
Yeah. So
gotta get that chainmail neck piece.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But a lot of these people are willing to do it. They're willing to donate that blood. So we're
Right.
gonna talk about that on our next
How
episode.
much will you pay me? Because
Uh-huh.
I have a price for
That's
everything,
right. And if
people.
I have a rare blood, oh, that
Right?
even means more. Means more. So I don't know. Are we going to be live streaming this one, or are we just going to basically go back to our old standard podcasting ways and just record without streaming? Because, like I said, we're having
Yeah.
we're having an issue with our software for
Yeah.
podcasting and streaming at the same time. So if there's somebody out there that knows anything about, well, we record on GarageBand, but we also try to stream at the same time through YouTube. And there's just some things out there. We're not technical savvy on this yet.
Yeah. To be determined.
Yeah, to be determined.
I'm thinking we would live stream and we pull the audio.
Yeah.
If the audio doesn't sound too bad on this
But
one.
one thing I don't like is that, and I don't know, maybe somebody out there knows this, is that you can't find a way to separate the tracks,
That is true.
to actually edit each track accordingly to actually get a really good sound quality. So
I was just
that's
thinking
the
that
rub.
kills two birds with one stone, because then we get the video and we get the audio.
Right.
Where if we just do the audio, we miss out on YouTube.
Right. So
we'll see.
We're gonna have to see what happens.
We'll discuss it.
Okay. So
they don't need to hear all of it.
Yep.
I mean, they get some of the behind the scenes stuff.
That's right. All right. Let's wrap this up.
All right.
All right, Derek, you're on.
All right. So you can find us if you're just listening on YouTube and you're like, hey, I want to do it somewhere else. We are streaming on just about everything: Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, blah, blah, blah. You know them. They're out there just about any place that has podcasts. You can also find us on our website, theshitshowwcl.com. On our website, you can also find links to our Instagram, which is theshitshowwcl, and our Facebook page, which is the Shit Show with shit without an I. Ron also has his own Instagram, which is ron.klett. I have mine. It's Derek the Barbaric Drenth. Mine has become this weird amalgamation of podcast and personal life, because my personal Instagram got hacked a while ago and I just said, screw it. Why have two? I'll just make one. I don't post a ton on there anyway, so it's not like you're seeing all the in-depth Derek info, but still, if you are listening.
So are we getting underwear shots on our podcast Instagram of you sunbathing? Is that what we're getting? Like,
not yet, but
no?
I do have some shirts or some pictures with me with like an open vest sitting on my motorcycle.
All right. Oh, all right. Easy rider.
Right?
Easy rider, baby.
Yeah. some comedy shots of me and some of the guys from BV that I know. That was pretty fun.
All right.
I haven't posted them yet, but yeah, maybe.
All right. So
maybe I'll save them for our OnlyFans.
Right.
But if you are listening on to our actual podcast and not watching it on video, and you would like to, this is all posted up on YouTube at the Shit Show WCL. And again, like Facebook and everything else Google related and everything else related, shit without an I, because shit's a naughty word.
Yep.
But yep. Anyway, if you'd like to get a hold of us, ridicule us on how we make fun of Issei Sagawa and the whole situation, or whatever, give us, hey, great job, hey, terrible job, you can get a hold of us on our email, which is theshitshowwcl@gmail.com.
There you go.
That's it.
All right. Awesome. Well, this has been Ron Klett.
And this has been Derek the Barbaric Drenth.
And you've just had a front row seat
to the Shit Show.
End stream.
There
and we ended stream. There we go.